our comments have exploded through the roof. So there you go.
All right. Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's Monday, 2:00. That means it's time for Lancaster Connects. And you've got just Jeff here with you this week. Ben is away with the family celebrating the end of school. I hope your end of school year was fantastic. It's graduation week. We celebrated my youngest son's high school graduation this weekend, so that was lots of fun. Hope yours was good too if you've had one or are having one. Obviously, take in that moment and enjoy it as best you can. But I'm here solo today with you. And this show is really special because we're bringing in a friend of mine, somebody in my extended network, for a topic about credit, right? Like, oh yeah, boring credit. Now, credit's actually like a lot of fun if you understand it and the things that it can do for you. And we put this podcast together to serve our community. And in this way, I brought in a friend of mine, Kevin Faulkner, to join us. And we'll get him on here in just a minute to have a discussion about credit and establishing credit and understanding credit. And if you have credit that needs to be fixed, he can give you some tips to help do that. But before we jump in, let's get into our Sleep Better tip. And it's directly tied to our topic this episode. So a mattress buying tip, we talk about comfort and support and what to look for and get used to technologies and ways to try out a mattress. But this one, let's talk about the act of actually buying it using consumer financing, which you've often seen. Appliance stores use it, flooring stores use it, cabinets, home remodeling, roofing. We do too. We use Synchrony Bank, no interest financing. We're often advertising 36, 48, 60 months, no interest. And that is true. And here's the thing to know. No matter what shows up on your statement, no matter what amount of payment you're told to make monthly as a minimum, here's the number per month you should know in your mind. Whatever the amount of your total purchase is with tax and delivery and the product, take that number and divide it by the term. And that should be the monthly payment you automatically, and it's 2026. It's so nice to set and forget your bills with auto pay. Of course, double check that they went through, but it's very nice to have auto pay, which largely works providing you keep your accounts open and in good standing. But take that total number. So let's just use round math. Let's say you have a $2,400 purchase, merchandise, tax, delivery, et cetera, and you finance for 24 months. Well, the easy math there is commit in your mind and in your bills and in your auto pay to $100 a month. We actually counsel our guests and our customers and friends to say, maybe do $110 a month, because the worst thing that could happen at month 25 would be in your favor. And the bank would say, hey, we actually owe you a couple dollars at the end of this term, versus having paid the minimum monthly, which oftentimes is a calculation of the balance owed, but it's not the minimum to pay it off in full by the 0% interest promotion end date. And so you want to take that $2,400, divide it by 24, commit to $100 a month. I feel more comfortable telling our guests, maybe consider 105, 110, 125. You'll pay it off early. And if a payment or two goes through, that'll get settled. You'll get that back. But boy, it's a lot better than getting to month 25 and having compounded interest across 2 years stacked up on whatever's left. So that's my tip. Be aware of what you're financing, what the term is, and really know monthly the number you need to commit to pay that off in full. Okay. And so that's my mattress buying tip. Directly ties into our guest. I think it's time to bring Kevin on. Kevin Faulkner from 3B Credit, Health, and Repair. Kevin, my friend, good to see you and welcome to the show.
Man, good to see you, Jeff. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, absolutely great stuff there on what you were talking about.
Is that credit repair and credit health approved?
Yes, I mean, because that's the thing is what we all, you were talking about how boring credit can be, or I don't think you said it like that, but I'll say it like that. It can absolutely be boring. I mean, not many people. I've always had a running joke for the last 6 years since I've had the company about nobody comes home from work and thinks to themselves, "Oh, I think I want to just settle down with a good credit repair book and learn credit tonight." But it is a lot of fun when you start looking at it from the aspect of this can really save me a lot of money. And this will be the beginning aspect of building wealth.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it can be fun in that you can sit down with a podcast and a live stream video show here with us on TV, so to say, and bring this up and watch it on replay. And so please do subscribe to the show, Lancaster Connects. Go to lancasterconnects.com. You can subscribe. You can jump on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We broadcast it just about everywhere and anywhere we can. So make sure you do that. But Kevin, we got some important business before we get into the business. So as I prepped you in the pre-show, weekly, our watchers and listeners look for the wheel of discounts. So Chris, let's bring up the wheel of discounts. And Kevin, in your most emphatic, professional, fun way, let the people know it's time.
So what
you get to say, spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel.
There you go.
All right. And I tell them when to stop.
It stops automatically.
Okay.
I think this is a good one. There you go. That's a good one. I like this one. This one's my favorite one. So $25 donation in your name to your charity with any purchase. So mention that from the wheel of discounts this week off the show, Lancaster Connects. And when you shop with us, we'll make a donation in your name to your charity, any charity you might choose as our guest, and we'll make that donation. Kevin, thanks for giving the people a great offer this week.
Yes, sir. Super cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty easy, right? I think we made it out to be more you had to do more than just say spin the wheel, but that's all you got to say is spin the wheel. So, well, Kevin, my friend, good to see you. So those who are watching know, Kevin, you are from Dallas, Texas area, right?
Actually Waco, but I mean, we're only about an hour and a half from Dallas. So
yep, I'm very familiar. I used to drive down I-35 often to get to a factory I represented back in the day in Corsicana. So
yeah, we're between. I'm about an hour and a half from Dallas and about an hour and a half from Austin. If you picture where the heart is on the state of Texas, where the human heart would be on a person, that's where Waco is.
Yeah, love it. Well, let's dig in. I was sharing with some friends of mine. We have our boys are in this state of transition into adulthood, and they are in new vehicles, and shared with friends that my youngest, we got him on the note, and his credit score is in the mid 700s as an 18-year-old, and they were astonished. And I said, well, he's drafting on my credit as an authorized user, and they just had no clue that something like that could exist. And that's the problem, is there just isn't the education for young people and even adults, unless you come to a show like this or get to know somebody like Kevin. So Kevin, your thoughts on why isn't credit and understanding credit and the things that go into credit, why isn't that taught in school? Why don't we learn that?
Well, we talked about this off camera a little bit, and you can go as deep as you want to, but there's a lot of people that make money when our credit's not in a great position. I mean, I actually made a post on Facebook recently on Saturday morning, I believe, about how credit cards work. Anybody can follow me on social media and can see these posts that I make. But this one was breaking down the method behind the madness, where credit is concerned, credit cards are concerned. And somebody actually commented on that and said, the joke's on them because I'm not going to pay them. Well, they were just making a joke. But here's the way that works. If you don't pay a credit card, you don't pay them, but your credit score drops tremendously. And then now you're paying 20-something% interest on any kind of loan you get in the future. And the banks make that money anyway off of that spread. So the system is really stacked against us if we don't have prime lending credit scores, because we're going to pay that money one way or another. And a lot of people make a lot of profits whenever we have to pay those incredibly high interest rates. And we're never going to get out from behind the eight ball that way either.
Yeah. That's a good point. The joke of, I just won't pay it. Like, well, yeah, okay. But at some point, the likelihood you're going to need credit in some form or fashion even if it's to go get furniture at a rental store, because you can't get credit cards no more. You can't get consumer financing because your score is low.
Or a vehicle.
Or a vehicle. Yeah, you're gonna have to get a buy here, pay here car or rent furniture, and you're paying exorbitant fees at that point. So the cost of bad credit always goes back into the banking system, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. And then, the other aspect of it too, we'll look at it from, if you're just starting out in life and you're trying to get your feet underneath you, and, you're, like you mentioned, a young person that's getting their credit. Well, they're not going to have a lot of their credit built. They're not going to have a lot of credit at the beginning. So every little thing matters when you're doing that, because the other part of that is you don't make a lot of money yet. So,
right.
So now you're really behind the 8 ball, and you could use your credit to leverage and save you that money. But the other aspect of it is, if you're starting a business, which you and I are entrepreneurs, and we know a lot of entrepreneurs, and you're never going to be able to scale your business and get business credit if you don't have personal credit to be able to lean in on that.
Yeah, it's got to start there. As I was saying earlier in our time about my youngest boy having a mid 700s credit, my oldest one's in the 7. His was just pulled because we got him a card. It was, I want to say 760 something. So they've been authorized users on my and my wife's cards for a number of years. And so while our youngest is only 18 and the oldest is 22, they both have, I think the oldest is 6 years or so and the other's 4 years or so of credit history. So authorized user on credit card, tell people some pros and cons of that in helping to build credit. And then
it's absolutely a fantastic way to, if somebody, and I'll explain how it works as well, but if somebody's asking, how do I get my credit up 20 to 30 points? I really need to, I need another 20 to 30 points on my credit score. How do I do it? And that's one of the fastest ways. Is to add yourself as an authorized user, or for a young person that's just starting out, to add themselves as an authorized user on somebody's credit. Like in your case, that card that you have is probably an older card. You've probably had it for 10 years or more. That card's going to be paid on time. It's going to be, so it falls under older credit, which makes up about 15% of your credit score, of what makes up an actual credit score. And then you're also going to get the payment history, which makes up about 30% of what makes up a credit score. And then you'll have utilization, which makes up about 30% of what makes up a credit score. So you've got a large percentage there that you're helping them with. And it's really, to add somebody as an authorized user is an easy task. It's just a matter of calling the credit. Everybody's different. Every card company's different, but usually you just call them, you give them the person's social that you want to add, and then you add them as an authorized user to your card. The cool part about it is they can come off of that card at any given time just as easy as they came on it. So you can actually add somebody as an authorized user. They're going to get the retroactive history of that card. They're going to get an immediate bump, and then they can go apply for their own credit card. So leave them on as yours as an authorized user for a year or so, let them build on their own card, and now all of a sudden they've got some credit built.
Yeah. Yep. And there's some cons in that, right? Like if you give a card to an authorized user, well, they're exactly that, right? So they can go spend.
Yeah. And that's the thing is you don't have to ever tell anybody that they're even on a card. So like if you have your kids, I don't know if you told them when they were young.
They don't even know it. They don't even know. And they probably, when you added them, they didn't even, well, yours may have, but a lot of kids don't even really know what a credit score is when they're, 13, 14, 15. So you add them, then they start developing that credit history. And then when they hit 18 or even 22 out of college, their credit's pretty strong. Yeah. Yeah. They're actually on 4 cards. They each have a little spot in my safe at my desk, and they're rubber banded together in the safe, and they just set in there. And, they've been in there, like I said, for oldest about 6 years now. The other one tailed along a couple years later. But yeah, the authorized user thing is nice. Like you said, you can just add them and they don't even have to know. So if you do have that friend or family member, right, coming to you saying, hey, I know you've talked with me about this before. I've taken some of your stuff to advice, but I really need help. I'm working to get a car, a mortgage, or whatever. Yeah, you can add them, but you don't have to give them the card.
It's also a great way for like a husband and wife team. If one of them has, so let's get into this a little bit.
Yep.
So when you're applying for a credit card, you always want to be very intentional about a credit card that you're applying for, because right now your credit score may be, let's call it hypothetically 500. So you've got a 500 credit score and you can't really get a great credit card right now. So any credit card, you don't have much leverage. But if you're added as an authorized user, now your credit score all of a sudden goes up to 600, let's say, because of this. Now you can apply for a better credit card, which means a card that you're going to really enjoy and have some leverage with to gain points and so forth. So now that card 3 years down the road is not going to be a nuisance to you. Like me, for example, and Jeff, you and I have been knowing each other a long time now. When I first started this business and why I got into this business was because I was struggling with my own credit. You know, I kind of found my own problem that I wanted to solve for the masses with credit. And I applied for a Merit, and they've been a really good card, quite honestly, a Merit card, which is not a hard card to get qualified for. I think it has about a $1,500 limit. I would not recommend that card to somebody unless you're just starting out trying to build credit, because it's a high interest rate. It doesn't offer points. And now it's got like an annual fee. And now if I close that card, it's going to cost me points because it's paid on time. It's got some age behind it. And it's got good utilization. And if I close it, my score might take a dip. So you always want to be intentional about that. So when you add yourself as an authorized user, let's go back to the husband and wife thing. So if like you're a husband and wife, let's say you and your wife, Jeff, and one of you has stronger credit than the other, now you can go qualify for a better credit card and just add her as an authorized user. And then her credit's going to boost up because of that. So it's a very strategic, if you use it strategically with a plan, can be a very good tool. Yeah.
And that plan and those little insights or hacks, they're just not taught, sadly, to us in school. I mean, about the only financial stuff we got, I remember it was in home ec class. We learned how to balance a checkbook. Which, listen, balancing your accounts is great. You need to understand your income, your outgo, expenses, etc. And in today's day and age, at least for a personal budget, I don't balance my personal checkbook anymore, because with digital banking, you know exactly what's in, what's out, what's pending. If you're looking at your upcoming bills, again, you need to understand your income and your outgo and expenses. But the days of having checks out that have yet to hit and it takes 3 weeks, like that's long gone. 3 weeks is an eternity for today's digital banking. That was all the education I got. Now, credit history was a thing then, and it's a thing now, but we're just not teaching it. So again, I hope everybody listening and watching can appreciate this episode, because it'll be something that we keep up and point to serve our community. And Kevin, you will obviously share it too and serve your community as well. Let's get into the education part let's talk about those 5 key components of credit score. And the first one, Kevin, let's talk about that, because that's the one you probably wince a little bit when you're talking to people. I need to get my credit score up fast. What's the best way to do that? And payment history, being that first one, has the most weight, right?
Yes, sir.
5. Yeah, talk about
that. So payment history, and I'm going to give these 5. But I'd like for the listener, I think one of the biggest advantages that we can have when it comes to credit is understanding exactly what credit is for. Credit is to protect the bank's money. So when the bank loans us money, whether it be for a car or a credit card, or a home, whatever it may be. What they're doing is they're investing in us, and they are looking at us, at our credit score and the overall way our credit is made up. And they're deciding, is Kevin Faulkner a good investment for us to make? Will we get a return? How likely is he to return our money? So with that said, let's go through these 5 things and why they're so relevant and why they matter from the bank's eyes. So payment history, that makes up a little over 30% of your credit score. And it's figured, by the way, as strongly as insurance companies. What is that called? Actuary on an insurance company? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, actuaries are everywhere. They're in medical, they're in insurance, they're in banking. Yep.
That's literally what this is. Yeah, absolutely. They're in banking, because that's what this is when they're doing this, is they're looking at our payment history, which makes up a little over 30% of what makes up our credit score. It's huge. It's more like it's about 33%, something like that.
And I love this part of your website, by the way, where you have all 5 laid out by percentage. I love that part. Very cool.
Yes, sir. Payment history is going to be a little over 30%. Very important. It's not the whole game, though, because even if you look, and this is the other thing about me, is I'm a real life guy. I know that if you're out there, I was having a conversation with somebody in a group a couple of days ago, and they were talking about how hard it is to keep an 800 score up, because if you're actually using your credit, it's really tough to balance all these things. Life can happen no matter what we're doing. If you're out there and you're an investor, or you're a business person, or whatever it is you're doing, or you're just trying to raise kids, life can happen. So we can't always, we're just going to be real here. Everybody can't always, for the life of their life and the life of their credit score, keep a perfect payment history. So payment history is over 30%. Now you've got utilization, which is next, and that makes up over 30% of your credit score. And that's the way you use your credit. And utilization look at it from the bank's eyes. The bank wants to know how responsible you are. What looks sexy to the bank when it comes to credit card utilization, how we use our credit cards. And it's actually a tier type system. So if you've got your credit, your utilization, let's say you've got just to do easy numbers, let's say you've got $1,000 credit card limit. And then let's say that you keep that at 10%, which is $100. So you go out, and with gasoline prices being what they currently are, you fill up, this is a very small car, and it's going to be $100 right now. So let's say you do that once a month and then you pay it. Your utilization is going to be about perfect at that 10% to reward your credit score. Because believe it or not, if you have it at 0, then the algorithms of the actuaries, the algorithms of the banks actually don't reward that, because you're not using their money. You're not a good risk because you're not using their money, so they can't make money off of you. So they want you to use it a little bit. So that's why they reward that 10% the most. 800 credit scores, just a side note, on average about 5.9% utilization.
Yep. That's
Keep that 10%. That's the absolute best. You get up to 30% utilization. That's not terrible. That's kind of real world. You're okay there at that 30%. You get up to 50%, they start to get a little bit worried. That's when you're going to start, your credit score is going to start creeping up just a little bit because of that utilization. You may not even notice it. You get up to 75%, the red flags start up, because they're wondering, why is Jeff using his credit card so much? Because if he gets laid off, or he has a problem with his business, or anything goes wrong, we're not going to be paid back. Remember what we were talking about, what I said at the beginning of this conversation. The bank is always looking out for the bank. They are simply investing in us. And if we take that mindset, when we start thinking, should I do this? Is this going to hurt my credit, or isn't this going to hurt my credit? We can always weigh it out and be intentional and strategic about how we maneuver our credit score.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things that I do, Kevin, I'll just share. And then I want, as an expert, I want your feedback on what I do. So I love the utilization thing. That 5.9 number, because I shoot for 5, for 5% on any one card and really a culmination of all cards. And I do have those little spikes or peaks when I might go buy something big. But then I'll even pay it off a little early. To the note of on-time payment history, what I do is I set for every single bill, if I'm able to, the recurring minimum due on time every month. Now, I always pay the balance in full or the full payment, as I did in my mattress buying tip. As I laid out that advice, I would pay the difference each month. But I set that because, like you said, life happens. You just forget something, you get busy, God forbid you have an emergency, and you just forget to do your bills that day. So I have the auto pay working for me. And there's some times where I pay it a little late and the auto pay doesn't come off. So I make my payment and the auto pay. Not a big deal. But boy, what a peace of mind that is, that I just never have to worry about payment history in that regard. On the utilization thing, Kevin, some of the things that I've discovered the last handful of years is going into the various credit card apps and just requesting a credit limit increase. So now I'm raising my ceiling. And as I might spend a little more in a month, that utilization isn't as affected because my ceiling total amount of credit's higher. My spending is still kind of saying relatively the same, with maybe some little slight blips that go up. From your view, your insight, is that hitting people's credit negatively if you're doing those credit limit increases in the app?
No, I think it's great. I would highly recommend it. I would recommend every 6 months to do that. Now, don't use it. Don't use it.
Yeah, don't go out and spend it. It's not free money.
But you use that because that's gonna put you in better position utilization wise and lower your, even if you've got 25%, 30% utilization. Because I mean, look, we're all in the real world. We've got to buy things for our kids. We've got, whatever it may be. We've got summer, so everybody's going on vacations, whatever. So if you Christmas, so if you're doing that, then that's going to lower that, and then that way your credit score is in the best possible shape for if you need it for anything.
Well, and in raising the ceiling overall of credit is good, because like I had this happen to me. I had a credit card. I opened it because I got a perk. I knew it wasn't going to be one that I used often. Really wasn't. It was for a camping store. We'll just leave it at that because I don't want any legalities coming back my way on it. We'll just say it was a camping related. And I got a nice perk on the purchase at the time. So I opened it and paid it off, and I used it a couple times, used it, semi-annually when I would have to go get some stuff, but they went and closed it because I wasn't using it enough. Mm-hmm. Now, if you only have 1 or 2 cards, that's a big problem, isn't it? Because it halves or more your total credit. But for me, it was no big deal because like a week before, I literally had gone through the every 6-month thing and went through my app or my phone and all the apps and bumped up my total credit by, I think it was maybe 25 grand. So having one drop off for, I think that one was 7 or 8 grand, really didn't affect me at all. Having that card closed.
Yeah. With as intentional as you are with everything that you do, I don't imagine that was too much of a problem for you. But with credit cards, just a little something I can share with the audience. Ideally speaking, and when you take this information, what I'm trying to do today is just pour into you, give you everything that I've got, so you have that information and you can apply it. We're not talking. You don't have to be perfect, but if you understand these things and you have this knowledge, you can get as close to perfect as you possibly can. But none of us live in a perfect world. But I'm going to give you the correct information so you can do with it as you will. But ideally speaking, the number of credit cards somebody wants to have.
This is good. I wanted to ask this.
Yeah, 3 is the ideal credit cards. And the way a credit score is created, it's not random 600, 700, 800. There's blocks of points that come from certain things that make your credit score go up. And it's kind of crazy because if you have Ideally, the wheelhouse for the most points for having credit cards is at 3. When you get 4 and 5 credit cards, that number actually goes down a little bit because, again, the bank is looking at it going, well, they're getting too many balls in the air now. Things can go wrong. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of parts. And so they like that 3 credit cards, 3 revolving lines.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say how many I have, but it is more than 3.
I have way more than 3 too.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's why I said that about, I don't want anybody out here. Let me say this as well. If you've got more than 3, don't go close a credit card because of that, because it could really, it could really damage your score to do that.
Now, if you're not using a card, so let's say somebody's hearing this, and I would hope this is helpful to people. I feel it is. I've already learned a couple things. And so let's paint that picture, Kevin. So you got, let's say you have 3 cards right now. You're really using one of them because you get your Disney points or your airline miles and you got a trip planned. You're not using the third one so much, but it's got an annual fee and you really don't like it anymore. You don't use it. So what should they do in that case? If they're not using a card and paying an annual fee, but they only got 3, what would be Kevin's advice to that person?
Well, for me, I mentioned that Merit card earlier, and that's exactly my situation with that Merit card. I think I pay like $5 a month for that, just to have that Merit card, and I don't use it, but I don't want to close it because I don't want, my score's at 800 and I like that score sitting there at 800. So I'm just like, well, I think it's got $1,500 on it. So I'll just keep this credit card. Now, let's say you're a business guy and you don't need that, and you're really using your credit for different things for your business and whatnot, but you've got your credit in a situation where it's good now, and you've got some of these cards that aren't very good, but you want to go get cards that have the points because you've really started making revenue. Now you can go on some trips, do some things like that, and you want to start using these points intentionally and getting some money back. So pay attention to when you're going to close that credit card. If you're going to close it, the first thing I would do is I would go take out the kind of credit card I want. That's the first thing. And now, okay, I'm going to get an inquiry for this, which an inquiry can hurt your credit up to 15 points. Be very careful about an inquiry. People with poor credit have an average of 13.7 inquiries. And I mean, when I say poor, I mean the low 500s on their credit. 800 credit scores have an average of 2.4 inquiries every 2 years or 3 years. Can't remember exactly. It's 2 or 3 years. They're very intentional about who they let run their credit and when they let somebody run their credit. So anyway, my point is the message I'm trying to say with this is take out the card you want, and then you can close this other card, but just know there's going to be a dip while everything levels out so that you don't get caught in a bad spot.
Yep. So go get that 4th card. Open it up. Maybe wait a month or 2 to close that 3rd one, the one that you don't want to use.
Even make it maybe a year-long process or whatever, depending on what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like my point was, like, why pay $199 a year, or your example, $5 a month? If you're just not using it, it's not rewarding you. Yeah, having a card with a nice seasoned history is helpful for your score, but having $200 in your pocket is also not so fun, especially if you're not getting any benefits from it.
Well, the way I look at it too, Jeff, is if I've got this extra card that I'm not using, the only thing that can happen with it is something can go wrong. That makes me have a late pay. It wouldn't be anything intentional, but I don't like having pieces out there on the board.
Yeah. I mean, hey, in this day and age, if it's a card you're not using, you're not paying attention to it, you opted in for paperless statements, all of a sudden your card gets picked up in the black market and fraudulently used. Now you got 2-3 months of purchases, 2-3 months of no payments, and now you got a real problem. Right. So being able to pay attention to your cards is important.
But be careful when you do this and be very intentional about it. Don't just blindly go close your card. Know where your score is. Know what your
sounds like we're having a little bit of a tech glitch here.
Am I back? Am I good?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Had a little bit of a tech glitch there.
So what I was going to say is don't just go close a card or go take out a card blindly. Have a plan so that you don't get caught. You know, okay, my car is good. Maybe I'm going to buy a car in 6 months, or I'm going to go get a flip property or whatever. Because I deal with a lot of investors. You may go be doing something like that. Let's be intentional about how we do that, with that being part of our plan. These little things I'm showing that you can do with your credit score. That's what that's for. I'm not asking anybody to keep a 800
having some
credit score all
glitches.
the time.
Kevin was saying being intentional about how you're using, when you're using credit. Let's see if there you are. We're popping off and on there, it seems. Let's jump into length of credit history. This one's fairly simple, isn't it? Obviously, the longer you can have things open on your record, the better. Correct?
Yes, sir. So like aged credit or older credit or length of credit, the audience may have heard it called, huge, because to the bank, this looks stable. They're wondering, what's your history with credit? Have you had credit for a long time, or are you brand new to credit? The longer your history is, the better. That's why you see a lot of people in their 50s before they have an 800 credit score.
Yeah. And, you know, when I talk with people about credit, you know, the on-time payment thing is so critical, because you can't go back and rewind time. You missed a payment. You unfortunately have to pay the price for, what is it, Kevin, 6 to 18 months for that on-time payment history to kind of level set itself back in your report.
Yeah, for it to start kind of diluting down. Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you have, you know, one thing I'll say to this too, if anybody ever gets in a spot where they have to have a late pay, or they're ever, which I always talk from a real world perspective, and we ever get in a spot where we're in trouble, make sure your mortgage is the last thing that you pay late, because if you pay a mortgage late, that take you out of the game on refi for over a year.
Yeah, and I would imagine a bank looks at it, well, if they don't care to pay their home on time,
that's right,
that says something. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And to the point of length of credit history, and then we'll move on to credit mix. Again, you can't rewind time. The old adage, when's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? Next best time today. So if you're into repairing your credit, building your credit, strengthening your profile, take some of this knowledge. Obviously, do your own research, please, your own diligence, please. Take what we're saying to your specific situations, maybe talk to other trusted people. But, you know, it might make sense for you to go open something new that works for you, not against you today. So your history a year or 2 years from now is just strengthened that much more. Let's talk about credit mix. This is one I think a lot of people miss. Again, going back to my youngest son, having him on the car lease that we got for him for college, you know, now he's had a few years of credit card profile. Now he's got car on his profile. Let's talk about credit mix, Kevin. What else is out there?
Yes, sir. So like you may have, I'm dating myself by calling it this, but it might be called a signature loan that you heard of back in the day. That's what they used to call it. Well, let's say where you go to a bank and you just get a loan from the bank, and it's maybe a year-long loan for, you know, $3,000 or $4,000. So it's not a revolving line of credit. That part is an aspect of it. A mortgage factors in. That's one of the strongest things somebody can have on their credit. Then you've got your car. Then you've got revolving lines of credit, which would be the 3 credit cards that we talked about. So you've got these different types of credit that, again, are showing the bank that you're able to pay different types of credit, and you're consistent with your credit game or credit score. I'll tell you a quick way of looking at it is like, when overall for credit score, paying your diversity of credit, all kinds of credit is going to help you the most. But I remember when I sold cars years ago, I remember talking to my manager, and we're looking at somebody's credit app and like, can this person buy a vehicle? Can they get qualified? And my manager saying, well, they haven't really have any good payment history, but they do pay their cars on time. So that kind of falls with what I was talking about if you're trying to buy a house, make sure you don't have a recent late pay on your home, because that does matter when it comes to payment history.
Yeah. So credit cards, home loans, auto loans, are store cards like a Dick's Sporting Goods card, or your favorite clothing store, like a White House Black Market. My wife likes that store. Are store cards viewed as a credit card, or are they viewed as something different?
They are, but they don't have as much. There's not as much advantage with them, so they're a little easier to get. They're a good kind of starter card for somebody to go take out. That maybe kids can get qualified for those easier. So if a younger person, I say kid, I mean I'm in my 50s, but if somebody's applying for credit and just trying to get started, that's where you're more likely to get actually qualified.
Get some approval, get some history building.
Yes, sir.
And then on time pay that stuff. It's over 30%. It's a big chunk of your weighted score. That's what I try to stress to people, right? Like, and I'm sure you do too. Like, understand missing a payment is bad news.
It can be
your weight of your score.
A recent payment history. Your ability to get qualified for a loan, more so than even a bankruptcy that's 4 or 5 years old, if you've had good history since that bankruptcy. Because again, the bank is looking at it going, how is this person, are they going to pay us back? Are they going to be able to pay us back? So your late payment from yesterday or last month is going to affect you more, or could affect you more, than the guy that had a bankruptcy 5 years ago, if his credit looks good and solid. But if somebody has, we're very good at removing negative items. We can't always get them off. I would never tell that to somebody, but that's what we are, a big part of what we do. Yeah.
And we'll get there. Let's touch on the fifth one. This is the new credit and credit inquiries. You touched on it earlier. Folks with bad credit often are having 4 to 6 times more the rate of that with good credit. Why is that? Is it that they just don't understand how credit is used or should be used?
I think that's what it is. I mean, because the statistic I gave you a second ago was an 800 credit score pulls their credit only a little over 2 times per 2 years. Right. When somebody with poor credit, it's 13.7, I believe, on the inquiries that they have on their credit. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's a sign of somebody that understands their credit and knows these things that we're talking about today, and somebody that's just not aware of them a lot of times.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so those inquiries, and how long does an inquiry stay on the record?
An inquiry can stay on, like literally stay on for 2 years, but you can dilute it down. Hard inquiry, you can dilute it down after about a year. It's not really going to hurt you a lot.
And what's the difference between soft and hard inquiries?
Soft inquiries are not really a pull on your credit. That's when you hear that word soft, they're not really pulling your credit. So you want to ask them that. A lot of times, like if you go to a car dealership or something like that, for example, sometimes they won't know themselves and they'll say, oh, we're just doing a soft pull, but they don't really know what a soft pull is. So you ask them directly, is this going to show up on my credit? Right. Another thing, just a quick little thing about going to a car dealership is, if you tell them what bank you think you can qualify for by doing a little research online or using AI, then you can go in and say, look, this is where I think I am, and this is what bank I'd like you to try. That's going to save you from getting 20-something inquiries. Makes their job easier too. Yeah, smart. Got to play a little bit of offense on your own credit score as well, and defense. Yes,
right? Sir. You got to play both sides. So let's talk. So you touched on getting those negative remarks removed. Let's get into and as we round third base here and come to home in our time together, what exactly you do. What does Kevin do? 3B do? You got a beautiful website. We've had your website up.
Thank you. Kyle Reed did that website.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we know Kyle. So we talked about the 5 things that go into credit. So now everybody knows, okay, here's what Kevin's looking at. Here's what I can talk about with Kevin, but I just don't know how to handle this. So Kevin, what do you do when you get into somebody's file and walk through what that looks like?
Yes, sir. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation with our client, and that's going to be me. I'm the one that has that initial conversation with every client we've ever had. We've had almost 2,000 clients We actually had more than 2,000 clients at this point. I've talked to almost every single one of them. And we're going to find out exactly what your goals are and what you're trying to do, because that's how we know better how best to help you. And then we're going to go in there with your goal in mind. Like if your goal is to buy a home, I've got some credit advisors on my staff that specialize in getting people qualified for homes. So if we work with a lot of lenders, we know how it works in order to get people qualified for homes. So that's a different approach on how you're going to approach your credit score, because that needs a 580, depending on what program the lender needs, or a 620. And I'm only saying that to say we're going to approach it on an individual level. Now, if you come to me and you say, Kevin, I'm just tired of credit being a problem for me, I'm going for a 750 credit score. We can write that at the top of the page and then start reverse engineering from that on where you are. And we're going to create what's called a credit success plan for you, where we'll go through every line of your credit, not just what you're doing wrong, but also what you're doing right, where you need to lean in and do more of. So that, and then it takes about 3 days to put it together, but it's a plan based on where your credit currently is and what you're trying to accomplish with that and how to get there. What's that gap look like? So what do we need to do to make up that difference?
And we were talking pre-show, there's some parts of things you do that, and I haven't looked at this myself personally, but I don't have, I also haven't moved around. I haven't moved in the last 18 years, but like you'll look at people's files, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if they've moved around a bunch, your credit profile and the bank's looking at you, they might not be able to figure out where you live, because you might still be getting mail at mom's house. You might, and if your parents are divorced, you might still be getting mail at dad's house. Then you're getting mail at your new apartment. So the bank's looking at you like, well, where does this person live? They live in 3 different places. And then the file is Jeff or Jeffrey, Jeffrey K, Jeff K, all of this different stuff. So what are those parts of the file you can clean up for people?
Yes, sir. And I love that you brought that up, because again, from the bank's perspective, when the bank is thinking, should I loan this person money? Think of it like a job application, because it is a loan application. You are applying to be a partner with this bank. Should they loan me this money? So when they look at this loan application, if they see 3, 4 different addresses or a bunch of different last names, which again, we're in the real world. Life is what it is, but we want to clean that up and get that in position to where you look as stable as humanly possible, and you look dialed in. So we're going to have the one address. We're going to have the one name. It's all going to match. That's also, by the way, how we get a lot of things removed too. That's one of the anchors that we use. Because if the information is not accurate, then that gives us some leeway to get. There's something called the Fair Credit Reporting Act that says that everything on your credit has to be provable and absolutely accurate. If it's not, it has to come off. Because one way, otherwise, you and I could just get mad at each other and randomly put things on each other's credit. There has to be that system. I'm a big believer in credit. The economy needs credit,
right?
But I'm also a big believer, because of that our credit has to be accurate, or it's no good.
Yeah, exactly. And you report out often. I mean, we're friends in real life, we're friends on social media, so we follow each other. And I see often you report out, a $5,000 derogatory taken off, 20,000. I think the biggest I've seen is a 24,000. Is there something bigger that you've had?
I had one that got up in the 30s. I mean, we do a lot of them. I mean, I don't post them that is often, because I don't want to bore people with my content. Right. So like posting the same, but we do a lot of them, and I'll tell you how that happens. And it also answers the question about like what's different about your company. And the first thing is, like, I just understand how important credit is, because I struggled with. I was 48, man, when I finally started getting control of my credit and started this business. That was August of 2020. So I come from the heart with it, of just understanding that if we're ever going to get control of our finances, which is something I really struggled with, the first thing we've got to do is get our credit squared away. And that's just something that a lot of us entrepreneurs go through. A lot of people that are, if you're like me and you just struggled in life as a whole, kind of getting your feet underneath you, your credit got away from you. And so it's very common, but it's part of our growth process if we're ever going to get control of things and get things moving in the right direction. So I started doing credit for myself and then for other people. And then I forgot where I was going, Jeff, except to say it's just a very important aspect of things. When it comes to credit, you got to have it if you're ever going to get control of your life and your finances.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it's an important function of being able to afford things, being able to have security, and really not being taken advantage of. Sadly, in the retail space, especially the furniture and mattress space, there's a lot of what's called no credit needed financing vehicles, and I'll say it's predatory. It's predatory. There's a lot of expense. It's presented as easy. It's presented as something that's affordable when in reality it's not. And the total payback on some of those vehicles, when I say vehicle, a financing vehicle, not a car vehicle, if you were to use that in our store, which we don't offer it because I don't believe in it, because I don't think it's right. If you were to buy something for $1,000, your total payback is often $2,100, but it's presented as something affordable, and we just don't do that. We want our folks to, if they're going to spend $2,100 on something, we want it to be with us and not a big bank, and so that they get $2,100 of actual value and not $1,100 of interest and risk mitigation through a payment, right? So having good credit really unlocks a lot of opportunity. I hope this episode, for those listening, got value out of it and now understand the components, understand what goes into it. Kevin, I'll ask one last thing. When people sit down with you, what's the biggest reward for you? Well, like, kind of what's that moment where you like turn the light on, the light bulb moment goes off for them, and you're like, I'm so excited because I'm going to help this people. Has there been a couple examples there that you could share of just really turning the lights on for somebody and they get a great opportunity working with you?
Well, for me personally, the biggest thing that I love and what really just is so special for me is seeing somebody that's struggled with credit their whole life, and they're able to go buy a car, or they're able, or they're able to qualify for a credit card, and they've never been able to get one, in a good credit card, or they're able to buy a home. When we're able to help people buy homes, which we do it all the time, it is just the greatest feeling, because you're not really, we were talking about at the beginning about how credit can be perceived as boring, but credit allows you to save money and make money and save money so that you can invest that money and put that money in an interest-bearing account that actually you get paid instead of paying the bank. But the other aspect of it is it allows you to buy a home that your kids can go out and stand on the sidewalk, and you can take pictures of them every year with the same background from the time they start kindergarten to the time they graduate high school. That you can go have your Thanksgiving meals, your with your family, your Christmases. Those are the things that credit allows you to do that aren't boring. And there's so many people out there that just because they just don't understand credit, and they don't understand the way the system works, are missing out on those things. And that's where it's really special for me. And that's what, honestly, Jeff, I'll tell you, man, and you know me a long time, I could do any business I wanted. I've stayed with this business for a reason. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you help somebody get into a home, you are legitimately creating an opportunity for generational change.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you've had this. You've probably had people you've helped. They're the first person in their family to own a home.
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah. So that's not lip service, cliche generational change. In our give backs here that we do at the store, we give a lot of mattresses to Off the Streets. Actually, one of their one of their bigger supporters was in the store today, visiting us. And it just reminds me, when we get somebody into a secure home out of homelessness, it creates generational change. And then when they take that opportunity and hand up and grab it by the horns, and then work with the other resources made available to them to get into a home. I mean, we are really making generational change. So I love that you're on that same page,
Yes, sir.
doing that. And you're part of this world, Kevin. You're a great person. Really appreciate you. We got to know you a little bit. Let's jump into a quick few rapid fire questions of Connection Cocktail, just so anybody listening could connect with you. And please do connect with Kevin if you found this helpful. We've got all of Kevin's contact info in the show notes. We've had it on the screen. Kevin Faulkner with 3bcredithealth.com would be the place to go and get started. Kevin, is that the place to get started right on your website?
Yes, sir. And you can book a call there on the website, and you and I will be the ones that talk. So that way we can go through your situation and go through your goals. And any friend of Jeff's is a friend of mine. So if you just have some questions and I can just point you in the right direction, that's absolutely cool with me. I look forward to getting to know you.
Very good. Well, thank you for that. Kevin, so on a long drive, are you a music guy or a podcast guy?
Man, I do a little bit of both. It depends on if it's a long drive. I'm going to plug in a little bit of podcasting. If it's just kind of a short little 45 minutes to an hour, or depending on what mood I'm in, I'm going to listen to a little bit of music.
All right. If it is music, is it rock music, country music? What kind of music you jam out to?
I do a little bit of both, man. I like country a lot. I listen to a lot of old school country music, and then listen to a lot of classic 80s and things like that. Yeah.
So if George Strait Troubadour comes on the radio, you're not skipping it?
No, I'm not skipping that song. I like that song.
You can't skip that song. All right, man. Hey, I really appreciate you. That was Connection Cocktail, brought to you. We got a little different take on Connection Cocktail, brought to you by Booby's Brewery. We had them on the show. Great place to go. Kevin, Booby's Brewery is a local place, been a family-owned brewery and in operation since I believe, late 1700s.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
They came by and they brought one of these jars was a dirty pickle martini, and this other one was like a wine sangria drink thing. It was fantastic. So Booby's Brewery, great place, local landmark. Please go check them out. Good local business here to support. Kevin, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to finish up with a little bit of business here. We'll let you go. But man, just really appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing for the world. Really, truly making generational change. I love a guy that's been able to help somebody get into a home, and that's the first in their family. I mean, what a great thing to bring mom and dad in or grandparents in, and then set their kids up, hopefully teach their kids what they learned from Kevin. So it really does make that change going forward. Kevin, thank you. 3bcredithealth.com. Please do stop on by, become a part of Kevin's world. We'd appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been an honor. Always is, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. All right. Well, my sleep better tip for you this week kind of goes into what I got right here. Booby's Brewery is getting a bunch of different shout outs. And they would say the same thing, right? Moderation around what you take in, whether that's caffeine or alcohol. A lot of people can feel, I'm tired, I'm stressed out. I'm going to have a couple drinks responsibly, but boy, it will be nice just to kind of have a beer or two or a couple cocktails and then go to sleep. Well, you're actually working against yourself, right? Because your body has to process everything you take in, which is why it's good to go to bed on an empty stomach. But if you are taking in that alcohol, that's your body's got to process that first. And so now you're kind of going backwards. So while it feels good, well, you might, feel a little lethargic, a little more sleepy. I would hope you don't drink to the point of passing out. You're actually doing your body a disservice because it really disrupts that REM cycle, that deep sleep cycle, and the structure of your sleep, right? So really important what we take in, what we go to bed with in our bodies. If we can be on an empty stomach, if we can be well hydrated with water, all the better for your body. And if you want tips like that, we'll send them to you. Our gift to you, our Sleep Better book. Just go to gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better and we'll get that out to you. And Ben normally does our testimonial, and I forgot to grab one, but I did respond to quite a few today. And here's what I will tell you. And I think this is a good test of a business, and I'll let you, our listener, decide and feel if you agree. Reviewing the test, reading the reviews, not reviewing the reading, reading the reviews we got recently this morning and replying to them. I noticed they mentioned everybody on the team: Drew, Phil, Chad. They're on the front lines when you walk in here at Gardner's. They're who you're going to meet when you walk in the store. Then they also mentioned Sean, Cody, and Evan, and they're on our delivery side of things. They're the ones working in your home. I think that's a good measure of business when everybody on the team gets a shout out, because that's what my job here at Gardner's is, to make your experience incredible. I have a lot of friends and family that want to stop in and get a mattress from Jeff. And really, as much as I love my friends and family, as much as I love serving, it's extremely disruptive to my work here, because my work here is to make your experience incredible, have you get to meet everybody on our team, and have everybody on our team serve you at the highest 5-star level possible. So I was really proud reading that. You can read those reviews too, and I think you'll agree. If you go into a business and it's only the owner who can help you, well, that's a problem when the owner's not there. Or if the owner, God forbid, gets sick and can't be at work. That's not a good mark, I think, of a business. I think a business that can serve everybody well with everybody on the team. We're really proud of that. And so I think you could agree you're in good hands with anyone on our team. They would all love to help you and serve you at the highest level possible. So that's my testimonial for today. A little bit of a different spin. Ben, I hope you had a wonderful vacation. We'll be back next week right here with the Dynamic Duel. I'll be there. Ben will be here, and we'll have a guest here. And we'll see you next week at 2:00. Take care, Lancaster. Have a wonderful week.
Comments have exploded through the roof. So there you go.